Following in the footsteps of the Buddha, under the roof of the world, according to Scythian time. Altai version. Family ties. A brief stay here, and you're already not surprised at anything. Eastern Kazakhstan. Akbar, an ancient observatory, sacrificial place of shamanic rituals, and the way of mankind encoded in rock carvings. This is the so-called Buddha's stop. They say that he passed by this place back in antiquity and left such a trace there. A characteristic feature of Siddhartha Gautama's foot, or the Buddha's, is that all toes are of the same length. The veneration of his tracks is an ancient form of worship appearing much earlier than his sculptures and temples. The footprints of the enlightened sage are most often found in Nepal, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and China. There you can find more than 3,000 such traces. Allegedly, they appear at a time when Buddha was praying.
I think that would be part of the religious folklore, because in his recorded life, the Buddha didn't go out. He attained he died in India. So he traveled around India.
However, only Prince Gautama himself could say that with complete certainty. Did he ever visit the Altai? What kind of traces did he leave? And the mystery of the origin of enlightened sage and the genus of the Shaka. The mysterious traces of Buddha Shakyamuni. People say that Buddha himself was from the Sak family.
And a warrior. And he became a man of peace.
The story of Indian and Kazakh history is more about 1,000 years of continuity.
Chapter 1, Under the Roof of the World. Prayer flags in the Buddhist monastery. You can read the mantras yourself 1,000 times, but you can hang a flag in the wind, we'll read them. It's believed that the birthplace of Buddhism is Tibet, which means the roof of the world. But this is the Himalayas in India, where, by the will of destinies, the residence of the Tibetan spiritual leader has moved. And it turns out that Dharamsala is the roof of the world that has moved. Today, already the 14th Dalai Lama lives there.
I'm Tibetan. And more than that, I have the name of Dalai Lama.
The path of the Buddha is bright but not clear. Interestingly, the first Dalai Lama was born in the 14th century in a nomadic family in a Tibetan monastery called Sakya. And since then, the Buddha periodically incarnates in a boy not older than 2 years. He's found after the death of another Dalai Lama. Well, a real Buddha is a legendary person rather than historical. Presumably, he was born in the 6th century BC in the Himalayas in Kapilavastu, the capital of the kingdom of the Shakyas. But where the city is located, no one knows for sure. At birth, he was given the name Siddhartha Gautama, which means the descendant of Gautama who will succeed. According to the epics, his father was a ruler and belonged to the Indian Solar dynasty. Buddha, the awakened one, in translation from Sanskrit, or enlightened, was called the Prince later. In India, it's pronounced Shaku. Buddha Shakyamuni, meaning a wise man of the genus of Shaku. Until the age of 29, the prince was heavily guarded from all the burdens of life, but when he entered the castle and saw 4 people, a tramp, a corpse, hopelessly sick person, and a hermit monk, this shocked him, and he went to travel and created a teaching, the main idea of which is that suffering should be avoided. This is, of course, a simplified retelling of the life of the Buddha, and there is very little talk about its origin. And in general, who is Shaka or Shakya? In Buddhist texts, they're referred to as the Kshatriya generation.
The Brahmins were the teachers, the Kshatriyas were the warriors, the Vaishyas were the traders, and the Shudras were the ones who did all the menial work.
The very word Saka or Shaka is translated from Sanskrit. This is a chariot and a warrior, as well as a king and even an island. However, the most popular version is that the Saka is from the Scythian word, a deer, one of the most famous images in animal life. Also, next to the symbol of the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma wheel, usually there are two deers. Allegedly, these animals were for the first to listen to the words of the sage. In another legend, in a previous life, Prince Siddhartha was the king of the deers. Or perhaps it's just a symbol that he was a Saka prince. He was sitting under a tree, and they say that there he recognized himself, and he recognized the world around him. And again, the tree of knowledge, the tree of the world, is paralleled in Scythian images. Chapter 2, according to Scythian time. It's amazing, but in India they live according to Saka time, although the national calendar of this country is more than half a century old. However, it is based on the Saka era. Why did the Republic of India accept the calendar of the Saks as a state calendar? Why indeed? There is no exact answer, only hypotheses and assumptions. It's believed that the calendar count starts from March the 22nd, 78 AD. According to one of the versions, this year the king of the Kushan kingdoms began to rule. He derived his origin from one of the Sak tribes, Yueji, and called it Kanishka. It's known, according to Chinese sources, migratory processions from Yueji to Central Asia up to India, where they created the famous Kushan Empire. Kanishka, which some researchers call Khan Erke, made Buddhism the official religion of the Kushan kingdom, whose possessions included part of the territories of modern Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Tibet, and India. In our historical data, he is Khan Yerke. If the Buddha is from the Sakas, then Kanishka is also from there. That's why he took such an active part in the formation of Buddhism. The Sak tribe of the Yueji, again according to one of the hypotheses, became the prophecies of those same Kshatriyas. They are also Rajputs, the Indian class of soldiers. There is a connection between the Saka tribe and Gautama Buddha because they too were Kshatriyas. So the Buddha and our Golden Man are also a warrior and a king, although they're distantly related, but most likely are. And they lived around the same time and worshipped the gods that are mentioned in the Rig Veda. In the Isik burial, there was a ring found with an image of the sun god Mitra, and according to some researchers, Buddha Shakyamuni predicted that the savior of the world, the living incarnation of the god Mitra, would come after him. There are similar textile symbols which are painted on clothes or on weapons which lies with the Golden Man. There are things that are associated with that time and weapons that were used in North India too. This is no surprise. The Sak were a warlike and restless people. They traveled a lot. They left their traces all over the world. Moreover, they traveled around so actively that their descendants cannot be understood right away. And the Orientalist Grigoriev voiced the assumption about the Saka origin of the Buddha back in the 19th century. Taking into account the distinctive feature of the religion of the Saks, imbued with practical love for man and living creatures, the same doctrine preached by the founder of Indian Buddhism was distinguished by the same character. Siddhartha was called Shakyamuni, the Sakya wise man. Buddhism was not his invention, but a doctrine that prevailed long ago between the Saka, to which he belonged by origin, and a doctrine that he distributed in India, Vasily Guriev, on the Scythian people of the Saks. However, this version has its opponents.
It's a Shakya means something. It's a different word in Sanskrit. Yeah. So Shakya means belonging to a particular branch. Shak means branch. Yeah. So yes. So that's a confusion in the language linguistically that way.
Nevertheless, says Professor Saxena, India's connection with the Scythians, undoubtedly they have ancient roots. Long before the time of the Buddha, both the Ramayana and the Mahabharata and other epics mention the Saka people. Historians say that Sak coins, however, are the earliest coinage and are found in India, and the Saka traces can be found in some Indian names and surnames too. Chapter 3. Altai version. Tamgalitas and its famous Buddha images. These signs appeared on the rocks much later, presumably in the 10th century, stone evidence that Buddha left its trace in the homeland of the Golden Man centuries ago. The Sak came to India presumably from Jetisu. However, some scientists believe that it was Altai after all. It is not without reason that Nicholas Roerich built this trip on this route, the Altai and the Himalayas. Roerich sought the connection between the peoples in the mountains that live in Siberia and who live in the steppe, and the peoples in northern India and the mountains of northern India. Central Asia is considered as the birthplace of people. These waves of migration have splashed into the west and the east, to the south, and in general everyone who crossed the Altai. And then different cultures were added to this ethnic and cultural melting pot, and then again it splashed outwards. And with a bold hypothesis on the pages of the diary of a researcher of Buddhism, according to legend, the Buddha took initiation in the presence of God. The place of initiation is called the Holy Stupa, but where it is located, no one knows. The Buddha is far away, in the caches of the mountains. Tradition brings a bold seeker to the Altai, and the legend of the White Burkan. The so-called Buddha is preserved in Altai in all vitality. Nicholas Roerich, Altai Himalayas. Roerich was inclined to think that the dedication of the Buddha occurred in the homeland of his ancestors, as experts say. One of the possible places is Beluka Mountain, which is located near Usk-Kamenogorsk. During the expedition, the Roerichs found only indirect evidence of the kinship of peoples. Legends, the similarity of ornament, household items, and jewelry, they're still around, and found in India and Nepal and also in Bhutan. When I first went to Bhutan, I heard familiar words. Ata, Apa, Tate, Ake, all these are Bhutanese words. Then I was in Nepal. Everything was basically the same. Continuing the list, in Sri Lanka, the same story. I can make assumptions that these words got into these languages through Buddhism from the first Buddhists who came here. These are very important words in the language, which speak of family relationships. Therefore, it is one of such indirect evidence that Buddha was here. Is it possible to consider the mystery of the origin of the Buddha still open? And where had he been? And will there be an answer to this question? Epilogue. Family ties. Almaty, the Institute of Genetics, sterile laboratory, protective clothing. Not a single speck of dust, or more accurately, no microscopic foreign DNA should fall on the sample under study. Otherwise, the result may not be accurate. You need to be absolutely sure that this is not a mixture of DNA, that it is not modern DNA that belongs to this particular person. Repeated attempts have been made, sometimes very successfully, to prove the close connection of the peoples of Central Asia with the peoples of India, Nepal, and Tibet. But it is possible to do an analysis that can confirm the Buddha's genetic connection and say the Golden Man. From a theoretical point of view, it is possible, but the Saka people are the unification of many tribes, and it is unclear exactly what kind of Indian Kshatriyas they are leading from. From the point of view of genetics, this can be a very diverse mixture of different branches of genes. And the last thing, recently Chinese archaeologists said they found the remains of the Buddha. Can this find help geneticists to determine the origin of a prince from the genus of the Shakya? Only time will tell.